I grew up in this weird live-action transition of Cartoon Network and Nick, where they both tried some absurd live-action ideas.
Sorry, Gibbles, you were standing in random hair.
iCarly was pretty good from what I remember. The characters were investable and it was usually pretty interesting. And running a YouTube show myself, I know what it's like. And yes, I actually was stupid enough to type in iCarly.com. I mean, to be fair, they did advertise the episode every outro. How is some kid gonna know that they aren't just breaking the fourth wall? From the late 2000s to present, Cartoon Network has topped everything that Nickelodeon has done. In fact, in 2010, Nick has proposed 2 shows, Adventure Time and Fanboy and Chum Chum. And they went with Fanboy and Chum. Are you But Nick still had iCarly in the early 2000s, and in order to keep up, Cartoon Network needed their own piece of the pie. Yeah, Out of Jimmy's Head is such a weird and obscure show that I barely remember watching it as a kid. But sure enough, I searched what I remembered, and it came right up. But strangely, there's nothing about this show on YouTube. No one seems to remember this show. I discovered for the episodes and information. The network first aired a live-action/animated film, Reanimated, that aired on December 8th, 2006. The show was co-produced by Brookwell McNamara Entertainment, known for the shows Even Stevens, and That's So Raven. To coincide with the release of the half-animated, half-live-action film, a pilot was aired shortly after, keeping the same title. The series was greenlit with the name change to Out of Jimmy's Head. The series premiered on Cartoon Network on September 14, 2007 for one 20-episode season, and then was cancelled
Forever. 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 Forever.
The run of the show ended with the airing of its final episode on May 29, 2008, and it was the only Cartoon Network show that was affected by the 2007 Writers Guild of America strike. Cartoon Network did a good job trying to remove all trace of its existence, and its reference is one of the worst shows to come from Cartoon Network. But luckily, I still got my hands on it. Welcome as we dive into Out of Jimmy's Head.
Let's see if you can tell what's wrong with this picture. The chick from Planet Attitude is my sister. My mom could help, but she's in space at the moment.
I like trains.
No, wait! See that train? Now I've got cartoons coming out of my brain. No one can see them, so it's hard to explain it. I'll keep my head when there's a freak trying to claim it. Till then, if I can make some new friends and not go off the deep end, I bet I'm out of my head.
Luckily, the intro tells you everything you need to know about the show. Jimmy Roberts, played by Dominic James, is a 12-year-old boy who needs a brain transplant after an accident that happened in Golly World, where he was hit by a train and doctors bring him back to life by transplanting the brain of the park's former owner, who is apparently the world's greatest animator. And now the man's creations are loose in Jimmy's mind, and no one else can see them. Yeah, I'll give the show one thing. The title Reanimated, like a reanimated corpse, is actually a super clever idea, and I've got to give it to them. That's one awesome title. Unfortunately, that's the only good part of the movie. Words cannot describe how panned this movie was. 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. Because if there's one movie you want to get a TV show to expand your characters, it would be this one. And for some reason, they changed the name from Reanimated, which is an awesome play on words great for introducing an audience, to Out of Jimmy's Head for the show. I can't imagine why! So the show's list of characters consists of Jimmy, the main character with a love interest and semi-real imaginary friends. His token black friend, Craig, the token black best friend. He's actually pretty cool. Craig's sister and Jimmy's love interest, Robin, who is an independent woman that don't need no man. Whose voice actress, Tanashi Kashingwa has been a popular musician in the past few years. So good on her for moving past this shit. Jimmy's dad, who is a school counselor. His mom, who barely appears as an astronaut soccer mom who found Jimmy's adopted sister from an alien planet on one of her missions. She has green skin, terribly constructed antennas, and can teleport at will. What the actual fuck? Along with all of the Appledale cartoons now in Jimmy's head. Golly, the leading mascot. Dolly, his unspecified relative. Probably. Tux, the fucking whiny bitch comedian. Oh, what an inspirational character! A real missed opportunity, if you ask me. Croco, the alligator, the archetype fool of the group that every show would be better without of, and the two virtually non-existent Tom and Jerry characters. You get it, because they're imaginary characters. One of which is a fucking pickle, and the other one that is a hedgehog. Yep. Oh boy, you've used that idea before. I don't know, gee, if only someone could help me out at this hard moment in my life. Really, I just don't know anymore, guys. Some of the film cast were actually pretty talented. Carlos Elasticrew, who voiced Golly, went on to voice Mr. Crocker in Fairly Odd Parents, one of my favorite shows. He was the original voice of Spyro the Dragon, but apparently his most popular role was the Taco Bell Chihuahua. Alrighty then, this was a thing. This was Taco Bell's mascot, but he wasn't the only misplaced talent. Dolly's voice in the show was more than bearable. It seemed like very professional voice work done by Ellen Green. I loved every time Dolly was on screen. And don't let me mention Tux, the worst and most irritating character in the entire show is voiced by Tom Kenny? Really? The voice actor for SpongeBob. He is also known for the mayor in the Powerpuff Girls, Heifer in Rocko's Modern Life, Dog in Cat Dog, and the later Spyros from the Spyro franchise. No wonder his voice sounded so familiar. He's a 90s legend. The voice acting for Tux is great. He's one of the characters I wish I liked. His character is so well designed, and I would gravitate towards his character, but the writing in the show is so bad. I have no idea how talent got into this mess. They seem to be the only ones in the show knowing what they were actually doing. Truly a breath of fresh air in the empty vacuum of the creator's mind. The first episode is titled Talent Show. Jimmy's retarded father loses a few brain cells in the process of conceiving a talent show, except he can't even do that right. He decides to turn it into a competition, where if you can play the guitar, you're apparently a loser. You are so old. What are you, running Windows 95?
So, you ready to try out, kid? Breakdancing, huh?
This isn't my talent. I'm just excited to be up here.
Robin finally catches up to this stupidity and says the utterly, profilically insightful line.
Why does there have to be a contest where the losers be like losers?
Yeah, go get him, you poorly archetyped shell of a character. Bring out those forced morals. Yeah. Eventually, my boy Jimmy writes a diss track over Tux.
I've got a friend whose jokes are staler than an old box of cereal. I've got secondhand coats with better material. You know, his act stinks more than my socks after gym. Even the phone book's funnier than him. He says zing, that's his thing, and he thinks he can sing, but I've heard better songs on my mom's cell phone ring. What's hilarious is how bad he is and how sad he is, no doubt. Knock, knock. Who's there? Not funny. Peace out.
Yeah! Now that's what I call special!
And all of a sudden, everyone likes him now, and his dad is somehow even more impressed with his son with all the ecstasy pumping through his veins. But one person doesn't, and that's all that matters. Because instead of using Tux's corny jokes, that probably would have gotten him beaten up anyways, Jimmy finds material and making fun of Tux. It's that old losing a friend episode archetype that never ceases to die. Robin has some forced exposition to give Jimmy, and then fucks off to God knows where the tunes give him something to think about. This is probably the best part of the show right here, the cartoons. It's kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, except that was actually a masterpiece. Without Roger in Toonland, the story would just be about a mysterious and seductive woman married to a bumbling guy who has to get down to the bottom of things about the secret workings of a system. I take it back! That is an awesome concept. But the fact still remains that Roger and the tunes give more life to the world, and you'll remember the movie more from that. If it wasn't for the tunes in the show, it would be completely lost in time, and no one would remember it. And honestly, the moments where the tunes are on piques my interest every episode. The animation is on the higher end of the budget, usually. It's more of a missed opportunity event than anything. The concept of the show is great, but how it's done is its fault. It comes as a surprise, by no one, when he has the chance to prove to everyone that he isn't so unpopular and stupid after all. He decides to be loyal to Tux and invite him to do the second showing with him. And why the heck not? Robin joins too, impressed that he's having fun. because apparently he wasn't having before. Who are you to judge? But whatever, show, their loyalty here proves their friendship and your mind that you should probably stop watching this show.
Come over this way. We can slip out the back way.
Way ahead of you.
You're watching Johnny Bravo on Cartoon Network.
Let's skip down to episode 6, Sick Day. In the plot of this episode, if you can even call it that, Golly World is shutting down their dolly ride, devastating Robin. So Jimmy decides to stay home sick so they can go on a date with Robin.
It's a date. I mean, not the kind of date where you kiss a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of awkward moments for the audience. But hey, at least the live audience is having a great time, am I right, guys? Oh, something I forgot to mention was the genius cartoonist's son, Sonny. No, that's his actual name. He's trying to steal Jimmy's brain in hopes to recover his dad's intellectual property. So pretty much every episode he's trying to take Jimmy's brain. So he talks to his stash of money about his plan to relieve Jimmy of his brain while he's playing hooky for the Dolly World ride. But uh-oh, you can't do that, TV. Instead, just while it was gauging my interest,
What do we have here?
his sister catches him, and of course, he gets her back by noticing her 2 concert tickets. So now, he has leverage on her. Ugh! You've seen this done 1,000,000 times in 1,000 different ways. Let's get on with it! Actually, Sonny is really entertaining in this episode. It's like the actor is having so much fun being the silly antagonist. Maybe I don't like it for the intended reason, but it's so fun to watch the barrier of out-of-touch adults interacting with kids here.
What's up, my homies? Let us do some typical school activities.
What is that thing?
It's me, Jimmy.
You're not Jimmy! Yeah!
If I'm not Jimmy, then why did I steal his shirt?
But his autistic relative falls for it.
Jimmy?
Of course, naturally. But I actually really like the dad in this episode. He loses his contacts and starts bonding with the Jimmy robot since he can't see it properly. Some of the jokes in this episode are pretty okay.
Come on, son. I feel like we're really connecting here. For once, I'm really beginning to see myself in you.
All right, then. But no swimming.
Atta boy!
Although Jimmy at home has run into some trouble. Looks like the ride is already closed, and instead of playing hooky, Craig actually got himself sick by drinking rotten milk. So what does he do? He brings a roller coaster to him using the knowledge from Appledale's brain from the warehouse location. Don't question it. Oh, and they cap off the reveal with some iCarly embarrassing reveal laugh track. Brace yourself! The following scene is filled with some of the least convincing keying you will ever see. But they clearly evade his mother's punishment in an astonishingly well-written sequence on the roller coaster.
Jimmy? Jimmy, where are you?
I was just feeling a little hot and I stepped outside.
And now look at you. You're shivering. You should go inside and take 2 acetaminophen. You should not be outstanding in front of a gorgeous sunset.
Okay, gotcha. Will do. Mom.
Oh, feel better, Snuggums.
Whew. That was a close one.
2 hours later. One eternity later. So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Robin, I'm sorry.
Don't be.
I specifically remember this part impressing me. Pretty nice job, guys. When the dad finally gets home, we get this scene.
I love you.
Jimmy's moments of logic makes the entire film worth watching.
I built your favorite roller coaster for you in my house. You're gonna be the last person to ride it ever. And you're not even paying attention. You're missing it to study for some stupid French test. Robin, you're on a ride. Enjoy the ride.
You're right, Jimmy. Let's enjoy the ride.
Honestly, more of that, less of stupid. Triggered! But of course, they have to get off at some point, and after 48 hours of writing, along with half of this episode, so that was a lot of out of Jimmy's head. It was crazy, cringy, and a really unknown trip to the past. It's truly an ultimate cringe, but honestly, I never thought that as a kid, and I bet if I went far enough back and started watching iCarly, I would get the same feeling. A lot of the elements of the show had great potential. The concept of imaginary friends was really neat. I think I can see where they were going for. Malcolm in the Middle ended towards the beginning of Reanimated, and one of the best tools of Malcolm in the Middle is how Malcolm is very fleshed out, talking to the audience in a very tongue-in-cheek manner that really works well. In fact, the series was created by Tim McCone and Adam Pava, who were originally the writers for Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. How awesome is that? Jimmy may have been bad news for Cartoon Network at first, but it has absolutely paid off for everyone in the end. That is such a great show, and it makes it all worthwhile that this show kicked off one of the best animated series of all time. How poetic that one of the most forgotten shows started off writers for one of the best of all time. Now, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go watch some old favorites of mine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time! And lastly, I have to give a huge thanks to Super Olabe for turning up out of Jimmy's head for me. So glad to have this blast of the past. So, if you're looking to go back, you can go and see what Jimmy was like for yourself over there. And when you're done with that, subscribe if this shindig feels like your thing. Ring-a-ding-ding, baby. I've got your back.
That caused an uproar, but I said the name sticks. Chow to the old ways, baby. Time to swing in style. If the shoes fit, you wear them.